Today we're going to talk about what an appraisal report is and how to challenge it if you disagree with the evaluation of your property. What's going on, guys? Ryan here with Boselli Brothers Real Estate. Today we are going to be looking at appraisal reports, what they are, what to look for in them, and how to challenge them if you disagree with the evaluation of your property. Now, what is an appraisal report? An appraisal report is simply an evaluation of how much your property is worth based on other properties in the surrounding area. When does an appraisal happen? Basically, anytime a deed transaction, any purchase or sale of a property, or anytime you're doing a cash out refinance, the bank will take an independent third party and do an appraisal to know how much of a loan they can give you. Banks do this to protect themselves in giving you too much money for your property that they're issuing you a loan for. Banks typically offer 75% loan to value on rental properties when they're issuing you a loan. What happens when an appraiser says that your house is worth less than you believe it is? So say you did your underwriting on your property and you thought that after you did all of your work to it, it would be worth $150,000. And the bank comes back, or the appraiser comes back and says your property is only worth $100,000. What steps can you take to argue that your property should be worth $150,000? I'm going to show you. Now, what are the steps to challenging an appraisal? There are 3 steps. 1, review the report. 2, identify the errors in that report. 3, gather evidence for your appraisal challenge or your reconsideration of evaluation to the bank. First, you're going to want to review your report. You're going to want to read the entire appraisal report. Now, this can seem intimidating because the report is going to be somewhere between 75 and 100 pages. Don't worry, most of that is going to be pictures of your property that the appraiser took. The main sections you want to concern yourself with are when they look at your property and they talk about your bed, bath, square foot, and other amenities that your property has. The other section is you're going to want to look at the comparable properties that they use to base their evaluation off of. Step 2, you're going to want to identify any errors that you can find in the appraisal report. Now, what kind of errors are you looking for? Look for errors in the property description, any comparable properties that they use that aren't the same bed, bath, or square foot as yours. Any properties that they use as comparables that aren't in the same condition as yours, such as if you just do a rehab to your property and they used old, outdated comparables, your property is obviously worth more than those are. Next, you're going to look for any kind of failure to account for market trends. Now, we notice this especially with older appraisers that they typically don't want to acknowledge the fact that markets have swung 10, 20% in the past couple of years. They're stuck in their old ways and they're thinking, oh, this zip code is bad. It's been bad my whole life. I'm not going to evaluate this property at $150,000. All the houses there are worth $100,000. When in reality, they could be worth $150,000, $160,000, $170,000, and that appraiser is just stuck in his old ways and has that same negative mindset about the properties in that zip code. Finally, you want to look for calculation errors. More specifically, consistency in the calculations. For example, if your property has 3 bathrooms, and comparable A and comparable B that they use in the appraisal report only have 2 bathrooms each, if you look at the bathroom line item, they'll give you a $5,000 increase for the additional bathroom on comparable A, but only a $3,000 additional evaluation for B. That is inconsistencies in the report that you want to take note of. Look for things like bed, bath, square footage, if you have a garage, if you have a covered parking spot, all of these things, they will add or subtract value from your appraisal. And you want to make sure it is consistent across all 4 or 5 comparables that they use to evaluate your property. And finally, you're going to want to gather your evidence to submit back to the bank. Reach out to your financial institution and ask for their reconsideration of evaluation form. Fill this form out and you are going to put it on top of your packet of data that shows all of the inconsistencies, wrong calculations, or wrong information related to your subject property. You are also going to want to find additional comparable properties that the appraiser did not use that support your higher evaluation. Once you turn all of this information in back to the bank's underwriters are going to look through it all and determine whether a reevaluation is needed. They will reach back out to the initial appraiser and they will ask him to reconsider the evaluation. Now, of all of the refinances that we've done, I think we've done 11 or 12. Every single appraisal that we've got back, we have had a challenge. If the appraiser digs his heels in and says, no, I don't want to evaluate this any higher, there is still things that you can do. You can get another appraiser to go out to the property. You need to decide whether the holding costs and $500 to $700 additional for the new appraisal is going to be worth the time, money, and effort to get possibly $20,000 to $30,000 more on the evaluation. Most of the time that answer is going to be yes. But if you're fighting for $5,000, $10,000 maybe, it might not be. Worst case scenario, you can't get a higher evaluation. You have to go with that original appraisal. You can take that. Your mortgage payment is going to be less. Your cash flow will probably be higher. You just won't be able to recapture that capital that we talk about in those BRRRR videos. And if that's the case, it's not the end of the world. Now, some banks won't allow this. So you're going to want to be transparent with them and ask them upfront at the beginning of the loan process. Prime example of this, we had a property that we bought for $50,000. We put $20,000 into the rehab, and we knew this property was going to be worth $100,000 after it was all said and done and gets appraised. The appraiser came back and said this property was worth $65,000 after we had done the rehab. Now, we knew this evaluation was wrong. The bank's underwriting team knew this evaluation was wrong. The only person that really thought that this property was worth $65,000 was this original appraiser that hated this area, hated the zip code, had lived in Tennessee his whole life, and really just did not want to increase the value at all. We went through the process again, another 45-day loan, a new appraiser, a new $500 appraisal fee, and we waited. Now, after 3 weeks, the new appraiser came back with an evaluation of $104,000. That now, with a 75% loan to value, allowed us to pull out just over $75,000, more than we had put in for the purchase price and the rehab, and it was a textbook perfect BRRRR deal. We then put a tenant in it, refinanced, took out all of our capital, and that property now cash flows beautifully to this day and is one of our best performing properties. If we had gone with the original appraisal, yes, our property would have cash flowed a lot better, but we would have kept about $20,000 into that property, not been able to pull out our capital, and not been able to repeat the process and grow our real estate portfolio. Now, when you look at the ROI of $500 for a new appraisal fee and another 45 days of hold time, that number is extremely good considering we were able to pull out all of our money that we put in, plus I think $500, $600, $700 got paid to own the property, and then put a renter in it that cash flowed from day one. We're gonna go into this property specifically in a deep dive video later on, but I just wanted to give you guys an overview of it. So just to recap, guys, once you get your appraisal report back, you are going to want to review that report and become very familiar with appraisal reports. You're gonna want to look for errors in that report, anything from bed bath square foot being wrong to the condition of your property not being accurate. And finally, you're gonna wanna gather evidence to submit back to the bank for your reevaluation. Now, if you guys can master all three of these steps and truly learn the ins and outs of appraisal reports, you will be able to squeeze every last dime of tax-free money out of your refinance. And that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Again, please like, comment, subscribe, check out our website, subscribe to our newsletter for all things real estate and investing. We're giving you guys all this information 100% completely free. Just please check us out and give us a good rating. Help us reach as many people as possible. Again, I'm Ryan. See you guys next time. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. 6.5. Okay, last one.